And welcome into the Bobby Carpenter Show. Excited to have you join us here on this Tuesday, Schlegs. Always a fun time to be with you and ready to rock. So super juiced about that. Super juiced to see you today. I know yesterday, dude, you had a lot of stuff going on. How was it? How was the game with um, the volleyball game last night?
Yeah, Columbus
Did
Fury, man. It
Columbus Fury,
was
did they feel the fury? I mean, they live up to expectations?
yeah, they did. So it's one of those things, all right, second year in the league. You have the draft, you have a lot of like extending circumstances, you got a roster, a lot of young girls this year, like straight out of college, mixture of some older veteran girls, just a handful of them, but kind of finding their way. I like the way that they built the team where you have five of the ladies are all from Ohio. And didn't really know this, but like Columbus, Ohio, and volleyball is like a huge youth volleyball epicenter. And so it's just great to, have fans out there. I mean, I think last night they had around 3,000 or 4,000 people in nationwide. They're playing in a great venue. But they had the number one team in the league. They had the number two team in the league the couple days prior, and they won the first set. If they won that second set and it was like 26-24, if they won that one, I think they would have won it. But again, they're just incrementally getting better, and that's all you can hope for. So I'm training them fast and violent. I'm over there when I'm in town. I'm on the sidelines juicing them up, like doing what I got to do to help get it. I'm like spiking it in the face. One took one off the face. Block. Oh yeah, man. Like honestly, you can't defend a spike to a volleyball to the face. You know what I mean? Like that's the aiming point every single time. So it was great. Big win for them.
That's
How
pretty
about you?
exciting.
Tell us about Gitmo. I want to know more about Gitmo because you also brought me over my early birthday present of the Guantanamo Bay tank top that you wore. And he's like, "Would you like?" I was like, "Dude, I would absolutely like it." And then you told me I couldn't wear it because I was going to wear it today because I had John Simon and Nate Ebner came over to the armory. We got super bumpy. It was like old times. It felt great, and I was going to wear it for that monumental moment. But then you said no, sir. So I put it off to the side, and I will wear it on my birthday wherever we are in the Caribbean. But tell us, I want to hear more about Gitmo.
So Gitmo was great. We went down there. Talked a little bit about it last week, like these military tours we do with Pro Tour Productions. It was awesome. Went down there, visited a bunch of Marines. We had the USS St. Louis was there, so I showed you my sweet challenge coin schlegs from that one that the CO of that boat gave me. I got a sweet. That is literally Cuba on the other side. That is the Missouri, or not Missouri, the St. Louis as you're looking at it. St. Louis is in Missouri, so apologize for that. Here was my challenge coin that I got from the Marines, the CO, from the first sergeant and the commanding officer from Gitmo, which I was pretty pumped about that.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Those the challenge coins. So pretty awesome. I've very blessed. We got a chance to go through the ship because that wasn't part of it. They just happened to be there, and they're like, "Hey, can we go through the ship?" And we're like, "Buckeyes, like let's do it." And they let us go through it, and they were awesome to see. Everybody was having a great time. Like that's the Black Hawk. They actually call it the Seahawk on the plane, but that does like the search and rescue and does like advanced scouting and all kinds of stuff. They drop sonar in. They can do all kinds of things, Schlegs. And so that was that. Like, and we just got a chance to see that. There's on the outside the Valkyrie Schlegs, the Rangers, like all these, they got all these cool stickers and patches and everything else, man. So I'm very blessed to have done that. Probably one of the coolest things is we went around with all the Marines, a couple of the Marines, and that's one of our sailor dudes. He was awesome. He may or may not have got overserved on the Super Bowl night, but you know what? Sailors, they get into porch legs, they get after it. I respect them for that. I would do the same thing if I was in their shoes. Like I would go really hard when I'm on land. Like, why wouldn't you? Because outside of that, dude, you're going crazy the rest of the time. So yeah, go super hard when you're on land. And this is right there. This is really cool that Pat just threw up. That is my flag, which I have right here. I got to get this bad boy framed.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and so you can see the certificate. It was flown over top of Guantanamo Bay. The only other one I have, I think, is I need to get it framed. It's for my wedding, and I've been married 17 years in March. But now it's going to force me to get these. They do shadow boxes with a certificate underneath, flag above. But my cousin and her husband, I think just her husband, was actually in Fallujah So they had one and they gave us that for our wedding schlegs, which is really cool. But that was the MAs, the Master of Arms, if you will, the military police of the Navy. They gave me that. So that was super cool. You saw the picture earlier of Cuba, and so this is legit. Like that's me
I
spearfishing.
love this. Look at you, man.
Yeah,
Look at you.
I'm
Just
trying
coming
to
out, rising out of the waters of Atlantis.
Aquaman too, but that was us. We did some spear fishing, and I didn't get any spearfish, but I didn't get any fish. It was a little cloudy, but I did get a conch, and feel
Oh,
pretty good about that. I love getting
did
conch shells if I can go places.
did
Um,
you bring it back? Like, did they
oh
border
yeah,
check you? And
I keistered it, Schlegs. I mean, I was going to
okay.
get that conch back. Believe me, not like the one that I gave to my wife a couple years ago on the Buckeye cruise, and she got denied. I would have done whatever it
That
took.
was I. Hey, first off, side nugget. So we're in some bay with. Were we in Haiti? I
I
remember
think
the
so.
people. They had the little boats and they rowed out
Oh yeah,
there,
that was when we were in Haiti.
and
Yeah.
they were trying to sell us the conch shells, and Bob's like, no, and then just like I don't know if you did like a backflip, gainer, whatever, into the water, no splash whatsoever, right? Like Greg Louganis out there, okay? Like picture that Greg Louganis on the thing, but blonde, no stash, boom, into water, dives down. If it was me and I was down there longer than 5 seconds, I'd probably be dead. Bob, boom, he's down there. Like a minute goes by, out of the water, just erupts and like literally just jumps onto the ship from there. There's Bob with like this monstrous conch shell.
Well,
That's what happens.
I told those guys, like, I go, I can dive. Like, the one dude that can dive, Ray, he can dive super deep. But I was like, I can dive probably 30 feet, like free dive with fins on. Like, that one I went without fins. But like, if you give me fins, man, I can go get to 30 feet for you. I mean, I can get down there and get it done. So I love to be able to do that. And I want to get it myself because it just means more schlegs when you're the guy that's going to get that stuff and going to get the conch. So, I brought one up earlier, and the group really didn't want us, but I think the Marines, schlegs, they're allowed to do some other stuff, and they patrol the whole perimeter. So they're like, yeah, if we go to our little spot, we can do some other stuff. So that was good. So I got that conch. Unfortunately, I didn't eat it. They boiled it. I think those guys ate it because they didn't want to punch a hole in the. Usually, have to punch a hole, kill it, you pull it back out of there, and that's what we've always done other places. But I got a nice conch shell. I'll go grab it during the break and show you. I know we got Bill Bender coming up next. Huge show.
Bill, Richard.
Yeah, huge show as well, by the way. Today, big news on the NCAA front or the college football playoff front of some things that they're trying to get to happen. But one of the coolest things we got to do in Cuba is I was thinking there's like 2,500 Marines. There's not. There's like 152 permanently stationed there. And these guys go in these towers for 12 hours at a time. No phone, no AC, like no music. They get some snacks, but if you have to take a leak, Schlegs, they have to come and like do a full trade out while you go to the bathroom down below. Like I would just pee out the back, but like the
I need
Cubans
to
are
be
looking at
peeing
you.
in a bottle, man.
Well, and the Cubans are looking at you through their towers, but it's literally fence line. Our towers are on our side. There's like 7 or 8 of them, 9 of them, or whatever we got. Ours are called mop towers, marine something positioning.
No, because we mopping them up.
Outlook
That's what they're
position. I don't
for.
know. And then on the other side, there's fence, and there's like 2 sets of fence every time, sometimes 3 because like you can't have the fence ever broken. So when you put up a new fence, they just put up another one. And they joke, it's like we're just continually conceding area as they move forward and move these fences back. But there on the other side of the fence, there's probably like 50 yards, and half of it is about minefields. And then you have a Cuban fence, and then you've got their towers. And so like the Marines drive this thing every day. There's 12-hour shifts. They do 12, they're off 18, and then they go back. So you do morning, and then you do a night. You do a night, 6 to a.m., 6 to p, take like a day and a half off, then 6 p to 6 a. And the one is absolutely gorgeous up on the ocean. The last one, because you're looking down the coast at sunset, it's phenomenal. And that's where we got the picture schlegs where we were going spearfishing. But it was pretty cool. And like to see those guys down there, you can't leave the base. And so they're there. All you got is all you need. They're all there together. And it's really darn sweet to see and to watch like the dedication. There's a school with like 150 kids. It's like 5 to 6,000 people, which they are ramping it up. There's more there now. There's windward side, leeward side. On the leeward is where we were. Windward, I want to say, not mistaken. That's where the airport is. That's where they're building the migrant tents and all that camp. But it was cool. They were super grateful. Like next year, dude, they go to like Korea and Djibouti and Japan. Like it's my way to see. They say join the Navy, see the world. Schlegs. Like to me,
Yeah.
it's like, hey, play in the NFL and go serve other people and see the world and get to do some of the coolest crap that I ever thought was possible, man. Like, look at this guy. This is one from the Navy.
Oh yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, you can sit there. I can beat somebody to death with that.
Oh,
They do an Army-Navy football game there every year. The guy who's in charge of it, he got me one from that, like the Guantanamo Bay, like Army-Navy football game. So, yeah, all kinds of great stuff. So like I said, man, I'm super blessed, super privileged. And I got you a sweet tank rocking in Fidel's backyard. You and my son RJ have the same tank. I have it as well. I have it in an extra large. You and my 15-year-old son are rocking it in a large. So we got that going for you, Buckeyes. That's super exciting and a lot of fun. So you're going to fill that out probably a little better than him moving forward. But we do, like I said, have a big show. We've got Bill Bender up for you here coming up next. And I don't know if you saw this, Schlegs. There was some news that came out from Yahoo Sports. It was pretty wild about. I thought there could be no changes happening to the CFP prior to 2026 without unanimous consent, but apparently back when they signed all this, there was like a line item in there that if the Big Ten and SEC want to like seize control, they can run all this. Ross Dellinger, I believe, was reporting it. We'll get Bill's like take on it, and what his thoughts and hearing this. And they want to expand to 14 or 16, guaranteeing teams in there and all this other stuff. So we've got Bill Bender of the Sporting News coming up next to talk about all that. But first, parents, athletes, protect what matters most with Export mouthguards. Trusted by professional athletes and designed by NHL team dentists, Export mouthguards are scientifically tested to absorb those high-impact hits, protecting both your teeth and your brain. You got 3 layers of advanced protection, including a patented use of carbon fiber. They 3D print that thing snug right to your grill for more protection, better performance, max comfort, clear communication, so you can focus on your game, not on your gear. Don't take chances with your safety. Visit exportguards.com today/Bobby and save 15% on your order. Export, protect what matters most. Bill Bender, the Sporting News, coming up next.
The Big Play Sports Network. Download the free app today to watch all of your favorite hosts on demand.
I'm Garage Beer, and this is Bobby Carpenter.
Garage Beer. Beer-flavored beer.
Beef with an F? Okay, my bad. It's crisp and cool, and it doesn't taste like... I'm Bobby Carpenter. I drink in garages because my wife says I don't belong inside. If you like a cold breeze on your bag, drink Garage Beer. It's American, and so can you. Garage Beer. Beer-flavored beer. All right, now pleased to welcome in our guy, Bill Bender from the Sporting News. Kind enough to join us every Tuesday. Bill, how did the weekend treat you? What did you get into? Oh, he says he's muted. Here we go.
Oh, that's twice. Sorry. Technical error to start the show. That's bad. No, I was at my daughter's girls basketball tournament in the COBA tournament. We've got one more this weekend with the state tournament. And, it's funny how the Central Ohio youth basketball coaches, we do some scouting too, and we share some information. It's not on the Connor Stallions level by any nature, but, we share info and scouting reports, and it's a fun network though. There's a lot of good girls talent and boys talent coming up through Central Ohio that it's going to be on the basketball court over the next few years.
Did you make it through the snow covering that was coming down Sunday?
We did. Fortunately, it stopped, and we were up in Worthington, Kilbourne, nice facility there. And I think we'll be at Tays Valley this weekend. But, Bella played very well. We lost a hard-fought game to a very good Westerville Central team. Big Walnut has a really good girls basketball program as well, and we're just doing the best we can to contribute. And, our girls went down by 5, but it wasn't for lack of effort. And I know you guys teach that as well. You can lose games, and as long as it's not for lack of effort, it's always a good thing.
Oh, yeah. It's great to see the kids out there trying. Big Walnut, they've got a good boys program as well. I think they finished second with the 5th grade boys to Gahanna, if I'm not mistaken. Bill, I saw this stuff come out yesterday or like late last night about Ross Dellinger reporting from Yahoo Sports talking about the Big Ten and SEC want the CFP to go to 14 or 16, which you knew was going to happen, especially on the SEC side, given the fact that they only got 3 teams in. Now, let's ignore the fact that you start talking about some of the losses that, Ole Miss lost to a Florida team that, was better at the end of the season. They lost to a Kentucky team that was the worst in the SEC. Bama lost to Vanderbilt. It was decent, but lost to Oklahoma that would have got them in if they won that. They get beat up pretty good by a team that couldn't score with no receivers. It's like, well, ignore all of those big things. But you knew that they were going to push for that. And that was going to be a big point of emphasis. I was under the impression that no real substantive changes could happen until that 2026, but it looks as if they may be trying to push some of this through, and the Big Ten and SEC may have more, I guess, unilateral control, meaning the two together, than really what we had anticipated.
I still don't think we'll have a full change until 2026 because of the logistics of changing the playoff and the venues and everything that goes into that. But this could happen sooner rather than later because the SEC and the Big Ten want control. And this automatic qualifier playoff model that you're seeing. So basically what they're proposing, whether we go to 14 or 16, the Big Ten and SEC want 4 automatic qualifiers each, which in a 14-team field would be more than half. In a 16-team field would be exactly half. So I went and looked before I came on this morning. In 11 years, and this number's lower than I thought, Bobby, that in 11 years, the Big Ten, as it stands, not the teams that are in the Big Ten now, they would, in a 16-team format, had we been doing that since 2014, the Big Ten would have 41 playoff teams, which is fewer than I thought it would be. But if you go all the way back to 14, it would have been Ohio State and Michigan State, and that's it. And you guys remember how weak the Big Ten was in 2014 versus last year when they get 4 teams in a 12-team format. So I think it's coming, and it's just a matter of how they format this next part of the playoff, which will be inevitably 14 or 16 teams.
So when they go to 14, 16 teams, are they eliminating the conference championships?
I would. I don't know that they will.
I mean, it's just an extra game, right? Extra game, extra beat on somebody's body when the ultimate goal is to win a national championship. Like, what do they do? I
would. And Schlegs, I'll tell it to you this way. Last year, or this the last season, the Big Ten championship game probably held my attention less than past seasons. Yeah, it was Oregon and Penn State. And yeah, even if Ohio State were in that game, because at the end of the day, you're thinking, well, both of these teams are in. It's just for a first round bye. And how did that work out for the teams with the first round bye? Not well. Same with the SEC, because I just kind of watched the Georgia-Texas game thinking, well, both of these teams may see each other in a couple weeks. Whereas the ACC, yeah, I watched because it was win and get in with Clemson and SMU. And the Big 12, at least for a half, was win and get in with Arizona State and Iowa State. So I would get rid of them. I've always made the comparison. It's like playing an NFC North or AFC North championship game after week 18 instead of just skipping to the playoffs. And, TV and money will dictate that. So if they're going to get rid of them, they have to find a way to recover that money. You know that the TV networks aren't going to say, we'll just forget about that conference championship weekend money. They have to find a way to recover all that.
It's interesting because, you mentioned the Big Ten game felt a little like empty. I guess maybe if you're a Penn State fan, like you would have been more excited, maybe Oregon the first time, but some of it too, Bill, like these games, when people don't attend them, they don't feel all that important. And if you're staring at potentially a four game run like Ohio State did or Notre Dame, like that's a lot of games, a lot of outlay, that's a lot of time. And so you have to begin to ask yourself, like, how am I going to devote my resources? Am I going to go to the conference championship game that really is meaningless? However, like you juxtapose that to like that ACC or Big 12, like those games were win and get in. So there was like something on the line. And so I want to get rid of them. However, I loved watching those games go back and forth and the excitement because there was a substantive prize. And I don't know how to kind of balance that to make sure we're getting, hey, you're a conference champ, you get in. Like no matter what happens, if you get to one of the last two teams in your conference, you're getting in, as opposed to like, okay, it's two teams that are going to get in already and they're just going to be playing another game.
Well, and then the other part of that is if, okay, say we go to 16 and we get rid of the conference championship games, are we not doing buys then? Or are we doing it like you would do an NCAA bracket 1 to 16, where if you're Ohio State, you're kind of like, well, what's our reward for a good regular season? You know, we're the 1 seed, we're playing 16, but we're playing 4 games like everybody else is. So again, this year in the 12-team format, we found out that having a bye week was maybe a detriment in some cases, but you still had to go out and play the games. Of course, we would have said it the other way had all the bye week teams won. But I am interested to see what that reward is. And I think if you ask most college football fans after watching the 12-team setup, Ohio State, for example, we were at the Tennessee game and the atmosphere was amazing. Would you rather have one more home game at Ohio Stadium with that atmosphere or a game in Indianapolis, which, like you said, I didn't even think about. They don't sell those out. And, you know, Ohio State brings a lot to those games, but when they were playing Northwestern didn't bring as many. So why not just play your first round playoff game, go from there? And again, the thing about this proposal and 4 automatic bids for the Big Ten, I don't know if we need them because I'm just assuming they're going to get 4 or 5 in the playoff anyway.
Yeah. I'm just looking, that's when my head was down. I was just writing it down. Like, you know, you do 14, first 2 get a bye, just like they do in the NFL. They play, those should all be home games. The next one should all be on campus games. And then you go to, you know, the other sites that you do. And again, that's difficult for fans as well. I do like having the 2 home games, but then if you eliminated the conference championships, then that first round could literally be right after the season or maybe 2 weeks. But then you have if that's the case, then you have your 2 teams that had a bye have now 3 weeks between. So it's like, boom, would you rather be able to do it like we did this year where the first one, like right after the season, you play in your first conference, your first round of the playoffs, then you go into your second round of the playoffs, then you go into that 9 to 10 day window that we did, you know, when they were going to the bowl sites. How do you think that's going to, like, how is it going to impact all the other bowls and all the AYOs that are out there? Does it even matter now? Because that's really what we're saying. Like, nobody else really matters besides the Big Ten and the SEC.
Well, yeah. And I think we're inching one step closer to that. And I have kind of shared that belief that I have that college football is almost, the FBS anyway, is almost like 3 separate divisions. It's the Big Ten and the SEC, that top 40, then it's a middle 40, and then you have the lower end schools within the FBS. So to me, it's like I've made that Ohio high school football analogy where it's like Division 1, 2, 3. Although I know we have 7 or 8 now? I think it's 7 in Ohio. But to my point, the SEC and the Big Ten are going to want more, and they're going to want to ensure that they have half of the field. When half of right now, if you look at most way too early top 25s, 65% is the SEC and the Big Ten. And I have no problem doing that because those are the programs, the money driving programs. Do you think the playoff was complaining that they got Penn State, Texas, Ohio State, and Notre Dame in their Final Four? Absolutely not, because they knew that was maxed out in terms of money and tickets and revenue and TV ratings for the most part.
Absolutely. I guess the other part of that, Bill, and I know we've talked about this, but with changes, like it feels like there needs to be just revamping of the calendar. I think Aaron Murray put out there like, hey, get rid of conference championship games, which was easy to say, obviously much more difficult to do. But I do think pushing up the start time of the season wouldn't be that much more difficult. You already play week 0, just making that a week 1. You would have your final games of the regular season the week before Thanksgiving, which is what the Big Ten traditionally did for 60, 70 years. That would seem to be able to start pulling some of this back because like Ohio State has just kind of started their winter stuff. They will be starting spring ball, Bill, on March 17th. And that's a week later than they normally start it. But given the fact that they played almost till February, like they needed to give those guys and coaches really a little rest, at least the guys that played some. And so to begin to pull this thing back forward and get away from the NFL and the NFL playoffs while also kind of resting some of the players.
Yep. And I think we're headed toward an OTA model of sorts. And I'm actually in favor of that. If you go on a long run like Ohio State did, you need to have some rest. and balance that with preparing for the next season. I think spring games may move toward a fan appreciation day. And that's a tough one at Ohio State, because is what brought to my attention a couple years ago is some fans can't make it to a game. And this is the game that they take their kids to, and the family atmosphere. So I think you should have a fan appreciation day of a sorts in the spring, and maybe you play 20 plays or whatever. But I think we'll move toward more of an OTA type deal. And I've been up to Cleveland OTAs and summer, fall camps up with the Browns where they let the fans in. I mean, maybe that's a way to get around it.
Well, do you think, and that's a good point, because the NFL has open training camps. And Ohio State, I think, had 4 open days to start the season last year. We broadcasted out there on the Fan for 2 of them. It seems like if you could maybe give some more access during like that OTA spring ball, and maybe a little more access early on in camp, that is financially affordable for people to be able to go if you can't obviously go to the games. It seems like that might be that trade-off that I guess you're looking for.
A good substitute, no doubt. And I think we're moving closer and closer to that. And I think fans could attach themselves to players a little bit more if they get to see them in training camp versus a 1-hour window in the spring game where the starters may or may not be playing.
When do you propose then? Okay, so let's go back. Like the biggest thing in biggest issue I have right now with college football is the portal, the 2 portals. How does that match up? So then when do we propose that the portal opens to sync up, like the season ends at what? Then the portal opens. And again, you don't have to have the portal there open for a month if you do it after the season, because everybody already knows where everybody's going. And then do you limit it to 1? And then when do you start the OTAs? Because the biggest argument from college football coaches is the preparation that they get in the spring to be able to go into camp, because we are dealing with a different demographic of athlete than you are in the NFL. NFL 22 to 35, right? Like, boom, huge discrepancy there in age, in maturity, physiologically even, and mentally. So what does that look like then? This OTA concept, again, in favor of, but how does that fall in alignment with the portal date, making sure that there's only 1, and then being able to move forward with those OTAs?
Yeah, and not to mention they're going to school. You forget about that. The NFL guys aren't in class or whatever spring classes they're taking. So I do.
And they do go to class, just so you guys know, like they do go to class.
Yeah,
it's a real thing.
They're student athletes, and Ohio State has had a good student athlete
highest
program.
GPA of all time this year, Bill.
So they're doing something
highest
right.
GPA of all time this year. Just saying.
I went to Ohio University. Our spring quarter was really tough to go to class. Trust me. But I made it as well.
I feel you, bro. I didn't go either.
I try. There were days that you really didn't want to go, but we did anyway. I think you got to move the signing day up in the fall, and so kids can enjoy their senior season. I think you move that. You compress spring football on some level, whether it's 4 to 6 weeks, whatever. If you want to have the spring games, fine. But and then you do the portal date right after that, so teams can set their roster for fall camp. And it's a year-round calendar now, as you guys know.
All right, we're going to take a quick break.
So you're proposing no portal after the season. Do the portal after spring football.
Correct. Get it out of the way then.
Okay.
All right,
cool.
we're going to take a quick break, Schlegs. I want to get Bill's thoughts quickly after this on the Ohio State coaching staff. It's now formed, not fully announced everything officially yet, but I think everybody's got a pretty good idea of what it looks like. We'll get Bill's thoughts coming up next on the Bobby Carpenter Show. All right, we're still here with our guy, Bill Bender of the Sporting News. Go check him out. All of his stuff he puts out there is tremendous. Check him out on Twitter, too, at BillBender92. Ohio State's coaching staff, a lot of changes. Brian Hartline, offensive coordinator, Keenan Bailey, co-offensive coordinator, and Billy Fessler, quarterbacks coach. Those were the changes on offense.
Not related to Coach Fessler.
Well, not related to Wes Fessler. And that was kind of out there for a little bit. Tim Walton's going to be co-coordinator. Matt Guerreri going to be passing game coordinator. And then the addition now of Matt Patricia, who hasn't been in college for quite some time as a coach, was at Detroit, was at New England as a head coach, very successful tenure as a defensive coordinator in New England. Not great necessarily his last season in Philly. Kind of your thoughts, because it's been kind of a polarizing hire, Bill, when people have looked at this.
Yeah, I'll start with the offensive side. Brian Hartline, obviously sticking with the program, continuity, great recruiter, and deserves this opportunity. There's no question. And you've heard him talk about, it's not moving up to him. He's where he wants to be. And I think that's a good message. And, I haven't had a bunch of interactions with Billy Fessler, but, you look at the background, he also worked his way up through Ohio State, Midwest guy, quarterback guy. And I think that's one of the hires I'm watching because, does Ohio State, we're as you know, we're doing some NFL combine prep here at Sporting News. And, does Ohio State get back to that, having a run of first-round quarterbacks, which they did. Now, Will Howard, I think he'll be a day 2 guy with the potential to maybe squeeze in. But I don't know that he'll be a first-round pick. But, that's an important position in this offense because they got so accustomed to a first-round standard with Kyle McCord and Will Howard and whoever's the next quarterback, whether it's Julian Sayin, can they get back to having those first-round guys under center? It's really hard to do what they did, though, when you had Dwayne and then Justin Fields, and then you went into C.J. Stroud, and not also Joe Burrow was in there as a backup. I mean, that's really hard for any school to go on that kind of run.
I'm just over here typing in the chat of the YouTube machine. So he talked to us about Keenan because, I really respect him. I
tried to find him, Schlegs, in the weight room.
I did. First day I was there. You know what it is called? Establish your dominance. But really, honestly, Bob, this, guys. Here's the deal. The reason I came in to do assist is because they asked me to come in to assist. And guess what I'm going to do? I don't know anybody on there. So you know what? Coach like I freaking coach with a sense of urgency. Honestly, I only know one way. Bob, you brought your daughter in and you're just over there laughing because I got these other little kids and they're on there and they're doing some testing and I'm coaching them as though they're freaking Buckeyes. I know no different. It's just how it is. So, yeah, I go in there and you do what you do. But I'll say this, man, the guy's a hell of a coach. When you go out there and you watch that group, and again, Cade Stover had left and G. Scott was maturing in that. And you bring in Will Kazmarek and you got some younger guys there, some older guys there. And then all of a sudden, you just see this maturation where they start to develop. And next thing you know, he's sending me pictures of them outside in the snow because they want to be out there and they want to showing me clips of being fanatical, but not who gives two craps if you catch a football. It's how you block on the goal line. It's how you block in pass pro. I'm yes, everything. Yes, I love it. I can't believe, and so excited for this opportunity. What do you what is his role going to be as a co-offensive coordinator?
Well, I mean, they've had,
and then you bring in Tyler Bowen, by the way, talk about that one.
That's a good hire too. I like that one. But with Keenan, I mean, anytime you have 2 offensive coordinators, it's a collaboration. I think some of the assumption around Brian Hartline is, that just means they're going to throw it every play. Well, that's not even close to true. It was kind of the same assumptions that some people had about Chip Kelly, where one of the things I did know from watching Chip Kelly over the years was that, they're going to get back to running the football at a 5 yards per carry clip. And that's what happened. It was a long way to get there. And there was a blip when they had some injuries on the offensive line. But, continuity at every group will be the key. So I think there'll be a lot of collaboration with Bailey and Hartline. And there shouldn't be much of a drop-off because they both, like you said, they're promoting from within. Now, could they have gone out and got a flashy NFL coordinator or somebody else that's known for play calling? I suppose. But I don't think you can do much better than that combination there. With what you already have and what you already know.
Absolutely. Well, Bill, we appreciate it. Kept you way too long today. Thank you for spending some time with us like you do each and every Tuesday. And we'll catch up again next week.
Hey, no problem, guys. Have a great week.
That is the legendary Bill Bender, the Sporting News, kind enough to join us here each and every week, giving some thoughts, some insights, some color. Make sure you give him a follow at Bill Bender 92 and go check his stuff out on the Sporting News. He always has so much great stuff put together, whether it's college football, college basketball, NFL. He covers just about all of it. Schlegs. All right, coming up next, we got some headlines and some Buckeyes with some draft news, some draft projections. Let's check it all out here on the Bobby Carpenter Show.
Welcome to Big Play, the fastest growing sports media company in America.
I'm gonna keep it straight with you. The reason you should watch our show is because I look good, baby.
Come get some!
Join our millions of fans for live sports talk shows hosted by the top former athletes and sports personalities in the industry.
Ohio, it's my home state.
Obviously, I'm a diehard Cleveland sports fan.
Watch what you want, where you want, when you want. Welcome to Big Play.
Make sure you tune in.
I love you, Cleveland.
All right, Schlegs, we got ourselves some headlines here. My man Field Yates, who actually his grandmother is from Columbus, Ohio. I believe she's from Bexley, Schlegs. I got to know him while I was up at ESPN. Good dude. And I told him he needs to get back for a game. They've got some news on potentially where the first Buckeye could be coming off of the board for Ohio State, if we could toss that up there, Pat. And look at this. Josh Simmons, who tore his patellar tendon, playing left tackle for the Buckeyes against Oregon, very highly rated guy coming into this year as far as potentially the number one tackle. Physically looks good. And Field even said he would be top 5 if it wasn't for the injury. He's got all the ability in the world, moves really well. Remember, this Buckeye team lost him and still won a national championship midway through the season. Kind of your thoughts on that, Schlegs?
Well, somebody just hit up with my thoughts about the 51st state booing us. We should discuss
We'll get into that. That's
that was amazing. But no, so here's the thing, guys. I honestly, straight up, Jimmy is probably like the best looking, like, physical body of an offensive lineman that I've ever seen. Like, he's just like he's tapered. He has to do everything he can to be at that weight. His punch is so violent. Like, there's a couple people when we're doing things, striking the machines and doing some things that we do in there that you're like, whoa. And one, like Arvell Reese can straight up hit you. And then 2, Jimmy's punch is just, you're just like, it's just like, it's shocking how violent he is with his hands. He is a really, really strong dude. It was unfortunate to see him go down because he was having a very, very good year, and what that would have done for our offensive line and keeping Donnie there. And again, guess what? Donnie did a great job of going out there, actually made him more draftable. But, I'm excited to watch what happens. Hopefully that Jimmy can come back from this and have a very, very successful NFL career.
I'm sure he will. And he said he thinks he's going to be ready and able to go for the start of the season, which is
Awesome.
big. If you're drafting a guy that early, you want to make sure he's going to be able to go. All right, we got a lot of questions coming at Schlegs, and we've been shortening our tailgate talk for a while, so we're going to make sure we have plenty of time with this. We'll just hit one headline today and talk about our guy Jimmy, Mr. Justin Simmons, because we got our tailgate talk coming by our friends from Real Truck, where we answer your questions. So throw them in the chat in the comments. Here coming up next.
Get the most out of work, life, and all your outdoor adventures. with top-selling upgrades for your truck. Guaranteed fit, free shipping, easy install, expert support, and thousands of dealers just a click away. Bring your truck to life. Real Truck. Upgrade today and save between $50 and $400 on select Real Truck products. Visit realtruck.com/specials.
Oh, we got a lot of great ones in our Tailgate Talk Slugs, where we answer your questions. That's brought to you by our friends at Real Truck. Go check them out at realtruck.com. It's snowing right now. There's a lot of accessories you can get on your truck, Jeep, Bronco, whatever it is. Bring it to life by going to realtruck.com. It's easy. You throw the search bar in there. You tell them what type of make and model you have. They give you the stuff that fits exactly to your vehicle. They'll ship it to your house. If you spend $100, they will give you free shipping, which is tremendous. Schlags, you got that real truck hat, rocking that as well. Bring your truck, Jeep, Bronco to life for the interior, the exterior, whatever it takes. Schlags, you got a shirt on too at realtruck.com. They're tremendous. They've got everything from floor mats to bed covers, everything that you could possibly want. All right. I got a question that came in from Tyler earlier. I was like, dude, it's the middle of the show, but I appreciate it coming through. Tyler Cressley, Bob, I have a question for you. You think the strength of this year's team will be the offense or the defense? Defense lost 8 guys. Offense lost 2 running backs, 2 tackles. One was a guard, and a quarterback, and a really good receiver. Lost a lot. I'm inclined to say it's going to be the offense, assuming that you get the quarterback situation right and like you feel good about that. But you're going to have 3 interior linemen returning, 4 for 3 positions. I think you feel pretty good about the 2 tackles you brought in. Strong at the tight end, strong at the wide receivers, bringing a transfer portal running back, and then you've got James Peoples back there as well. So I think you feel good about that. I think the defense, when you're replacing 8 starters, and believe me, you've got a really elite guy back there, Caleb Downs. I think Sonny Styles is going to play really, really well this year. Young defensive linemen are going to be good as well. Igbenusson will be good on the outside. Jermaine's going to be good. Matthews on the perimeter. Like people say, Devin Sanchez could potentially play. Like they've got a lot of guys, but they're young. And so to teaching them to play together, I think it may take a little bit of time. So I would lean in on the offense legs being the better part of this team early on in the season.
Yep. I don't want to keep going. Go to the next question. I thought that was very, very
okay. Here we go, Schlags. Where was that one about?
That was for you, Bob.
Oh, Schlags, this is for you. What does Schlegel think about the 51st State booing or their future national anthem at the hockey game this past weekend? That's worded really well, by the way, Joe.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, first off, hey, then we had in 9 seconds, you had 3 fights, and then you proceeded to dominate the game, and then you get a rematch in America.
Yeah.
I think it's in Boston. It's in Boston. Oh my gosh. It's Thursday night, people. Like, I don't tune in for hockey, but guess what? I'll tune into that one. So, yeah, guess what? Hey, bump them. Go America. That's what you say.
Oh, yeah. I like that. I'm with you because they're going to be juiced up, ready to play. Team USA's beat up a little bit, so we'll see if they're going to be able to play. This was coming from Danny Meyer, Schlags. I don't think any relationship to Urban. Who are your guesses for who you think the captains will be next year?
Yeah, good question, man. I mean, guys, there's a lot because I was just going over, what is this? Orland's just projected depth chart. It was really, for me, it's just to see, who are the seniors? And, could a Carson, again, who can develop? Because you got Jeremiah. And I always said this, leadership has no age, because you also got to remember I was a sophomore captain when I was at the Air Force Academy. So leadership has no age. So it's not necessarily about the age of the guys, but I'll tell you, Brandon Ennis is an absolute dog. He has that voice, he has that presence. Obviously, I think Caleb's professionalism and the way he handles his business. He's going to be on the Buckeye Cruise, Bob. Can't wait to see him. But then you have Sonny. Sonny's a senior. Sonny has been there and done that. Lorenzo's a senior, right? So it's who are those guys? Caden Curry is a senior. Kenyatta Jackson, he's a redshirt junior, but he's technically a senior, right? 4 years in. But who are those guys going to be? I don't know. But that's why you have the offseason. Because, guys, it's not just who are your best players. And we always said this, the best players have to be the hardest workers. Where does that come out? In the winter. Like that's really what they're seeing. The voice of these guys and who are going to be your captains is being developed right now because you had such an impactful, high, what's the word I'm looking for? Like high football acumen, guys that have played a lot of ball, guys that have been leaders for a long time, like on the roster, that their voices overshadowed and overtaken a lot of others' voices. Now it's their turn. So that this is when we're going to see who that comes out. I would be interested to see what that looks like during spring ball, and I'll have a better answer for you then.
Because the thing is, David, like IGB is very vocal. I mean, I could see Sonny being a captain. I could see Caleb. Like those three are the returners on defense. Like, so it's probably going to be two of those three. Sonny's the only guy, Schleichs, who would be a 4-year guy at Ohio State on the defensive side of the ball. Like and played, like has started. This will be his 3rd year as a starter. So I could maybe see him being the block O. Maybe I don't know. It's tough because last year there's so many seniors. There's so many guys to choose from. This year it's a tighter group. Offensively, I mean, do you have like a Carson Hinsman? Like, does he emerge?
A redshirt junior, exactly.
You know, as or maybe like a Will Kazmarek. He's only been here 1 year. I mean,
but he embodies everything, right? That you want.
Like,
kind of like Caden Curry. Caden Curry.
Yes.
I just worked out with John Simon today. Like Caden's motor is like a John Simon's motor. You know what I'm saying? And so, as you guys go ahead, Bob. Keep going. I'm sorry.
No, that's it. Like, and I don't know if, like you said, JJ Smith, like you said, leadership knows no age. You know, he's a very quiet guy. Obviously, leads a lot through example. I mean, that's a big question. There's a lot there. With
Brandon and Carnell, like guys, I'm just letting you guys know this time right now when the veteran, because in that room, especially the wide receiver room, it was, you knew that Emeka was the alpha of the alphas, right? In that room, because of the way he handled his business. You don't have to be the number one guy in your room to be the leader of your room, just so everybody knows that. Okay. But like now, these other guys that are in there, right? The Brandon and the Carnell and the Jeremiah, guys who have played a lot of ball, it's their time to develop their leader voice and to take on some responsibility. And I'm interested to see how that room, because here's the other thing. You got those 3 guys that I just mentioned are like elite level workers, people. Like the way they work their craft, it's very, very impressive to watch.
Absolutely. So that's all some good stuff. We got some great questions. We're going to have to keep these questions. We'll fire away some of them tomorrow and love to get some of those answers. We got to take a quick break. I will be back with our guy, Mr. Schlegel's parting thoughts here on the Bobby Carpenter Show. All right. Parting thoughts with our guy, Mr. Anthony Schlegel.
Hey, my parting thoughts, I totally changed it. So yeah, I'm not going to change it. Hey, I'm going with put the one up there about Dayon Hartline, best of college football. So, because I'll do the other one tomorrow. But this is what Ryan Day said. I think he's going to be the best coordinator in the country. And that's not just somebody blowing smoke. It's somebody that's had a relationship with the guy. He's seen the development of the guy. He understands. You're with Kevin Wilson. Well, one, you're with Ryan Day. You're with Kevin Wilson. You're with Chip Kelly. You develop an identity and you see what works. But also Brian, having been in the league, is like, he knows. That's why I like the Matt Patricia hire. Like, he knows how he's going to put the guys in the best position to make plays. Because again, you win with players. And I think that Brian's going to have a really, really successful coordinator career. And to Bill saying like he wants to be here. It's not like a move up. Like this is something that he wants to do, and it's an opportunity for him to show his growth as a coach and being able to call the offense. And again, there's no doubt, guys, like he will lean on Ryan as he goes through these things. But to Ryan's point, like he is the offensive coordinator, and I think the way they constructed the offensive staff with Tyler Boeing having called plays at Virginia Tech. And then also with Bailey, like with Tyler in the run game and some other pieces that might be coming on the offensive side, I think he's going to do a really, really good job. And I expect the Ohio State offense to be very, very successful this season.
All right, Shakes. Well, that's it for this edition of the Bobby Carpenter Show. Stay locked in. We'll see you at 12:30 tomorrow.